Hi, everyone. Welcome to the latest of the Overboard Network, a Below Deck podcast. We're back with season 3, episode 10 of Sailing Yacht, titled Villa Today, Gone Tomorrow. Sean, the one's actually not that bad.
Yeah.
In this week's episode, Gabby goes through a roller coaster of emotion. Gary and Ashley hook up. The crew gets a day off, and Sean updates his crew rankings. As always, you can email us at belowdeckpod@gmail.com to submit life advice questions you have. Let's bring in my co-host. Sean, we're down a deckhand and now Gabby. We've only got 3 charters left. Is it a little reasonable to be worried that these new people are going to come on? They're not going to gel. There's not enough time to mesh. And we're just going to remember the season as a fragmented one?
Well, John, I think losing Tom was tough. I think that guy was really good TV. I'll get to that later during the crew rankings. But I don't know, man. I believe in Daisy, Gary, and even Colin too much. That's the infrastructure of the show. I think they're going to stick the landing. I mean, Ashley's not going anywhere. She's great TV. I'm excited for the new people. I know sometimes on other Below Deck seasons you get new people and they're kind of duds. You don't really remember them. But I think, and I mean, hey, Gary's going to have a new girl around. I still feel okay. How about you?
I mean, I'm a little worried, candidly. Obviously we've got a really strong nucleus here
Yeah.
between, Daisy, Colin, Gary. But I feel like I'm just going to remember this season. And now, yes, we still have 6 episodes left. But we remember the season. We're like, oh yeah, there was that other guy, right? And then there was the girl who left, and then there were the 2 people that came on, and it's just like, yes, I enjoy watching this core nucleus, regardless of the other 4 or 5 people around them, more than pretty much any other iteration of Below Deck. But I'm at the beginning of this season, I made a claim that I thought this season might be better than season 2. I feel like I have to take that back a little bit. Now, I don't, if we keep on the same track, I don't think this season's going to end up being better than season 2.
If we get 2 duds, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking about that the other day. Like, there's been some, like, a lot of the mid-season replacements they get, a lot of misses. If I'm thinking about it correctly, I feel like there's more misses than hits.
Yeah. Who was she had red hair from last season? Delaney.
Oh, Delaney. Yeah, that was a miss.
And then there was the other girl from latest Below Deck Legacy.
Heather's
she was
friend?
Heather's friend. She came on for 2 episodes. She's actually great looking, but
yeah. Oh, she's your
Yeah.
she was just your type.
Yeah.
That's everyone. That's John's type. Is like once. But what was her name now?
Exactly. That's the whole
Heather's
thing.
friend.
It's just
Yeah.
it's just Heather's friend. They come on for 2, 3, 4 episodes and we just don't really remember them. They're
Yeah.
not part of the opening credits. You don't really learn anything about them. You don't get attached to them. And I feel like unless somebody comes on and makes a splash or maybe comes back for season 4, am I going to even remember Tom, let alone these other people that are going to come on for 2 episodes?
I think we'll remember Tom because of the anchor dragging.
It's fair.
And the Ashley stuff too. But
yeah,
they can't go over 2 with these 2 new people. I guess we'll find out next episode.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. So Sean, let's get into the episode a little bit. So we kind of leave off with a kind of a drunken night, which is kind of the theme for Sailing Yacht here. And Ashley and Gary finally hook up. So, Sean, as most things happen in life, it starts with a massage and it becomes more. I think, obviously the next day, Gary's mentioning that he was blackout and he didn't remember it. I think if roles were reversed, this is a little bit different story, but Gary didn't seem to care too much about what happened that night, the following day. So, we're not here to get into a whole investigation about this, but what were your thoughts on it? Who comes out looking like what? Um, just not
What?
very, not great, not great.
Yeah, Glenn told them to take it easy that night too. So the
It's a
next day
school
off.
night, guys. It's a school night.
And Gary didn't do it. I had no idea because they just had dinner. Like who gets just that drunk during a dinner?
Yeah,
And Gary managed to. I I don't he I think he likes Daisy, and I think he was playing up how drunk he was.
got it.
I kind of like I don't know. He just seemed like yeah, he was drunk, but he also like wasn't just like falling all over the place or like
Yeah,
falling asleep or I don't know. Like he was still kind of Gary. And yeah, I mean, but he was just guess we're in the hot tub. Ashley follows. Ashley's like, I'm just here to go in the hot tub by myself, not to hang out with you. We
it's
know
the
that
biggest
wasn't
lie I've ever
true.
heard in my life. Yeah,
Yeah. Instantly start, yeah, the massage, making out. She starts strailing him. Yeah, escalated really fast. Now, John, they definitely had sex, right?
yeah,
Ashley said, "You're
yeah.
inside me."
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the point when Gary was like, I gotta go. So either he like came out of blackout or he was just like, I can't, I'm not gonna do this. But I mean, obviously we don't know because it was edited, right? So we don't know if they were in
Yeah,
there for 2 hours or 15 minutes. But I just think it's like it's one of those things where it was kind of cringeworthy the next day when Ashley was talking to Gary about, oh no, we had sex last night. And then they were like, oh, let's high five. I'm like, yeah, man, like I'm just I feel like Gary was okay with it. And so a big deal didn't get made about it, but it
right,
could have been.
right.
It could have been. This could have thrown this whole season through a wrench.
Yeah, what do you say to her? If this happens again, let's try to not be that drunk because I want to
Yeah.
remember it.
Yeah.
Actually, it's kind of like a very is that a misleading thing to say to her? Like, I would want to remember it. Like, let's do this again.
Right.
Yeah, interesting. Because I remember thinking for a second, thinking like, oh, is he into her now?
Yeah. I mean, I guess one of the things you mentioned is if he was kind of smitten with Daisy, if he's kind of burned that bridge by sleeping with Ashley and
And
Ashley wants to sleep with him again, he he might want to should that opportunity present
yeah,
itself, right?
yeah, he kind of. I think he's playing up the drunkenness a little bit. Like, I don't think he was blackout. Because remember,
Yeah.
after he leaves the master bedroom or whatever, he goes back to his cabin and tells like Marcos and Colin about it.
Yeah, that's true. That's a very
I don't.
that's a non-blackout thing to do.
Yeah,
Again, I'm not saying he wasn't, but
I
uh,
we're not we're splitting hairs here. Yeah, he was
yeah,
very drunk. I think he was kind of into it too, if I had to
yeah,
guess.
yeah, um, yeah. So we'll see how this plays out. I mean, candidly, I thought this was going to play a bigger part of the rest of the episode than it did. So we'll just see how it plays out the rest of the episode, the rest of the season. So Sean, let's check in on Gabby. So at the very end of the previous episode, she had spoken to Daisy and said like, "Hey, I just need a fresh start." Daisy kind of reiterated that to Ashley, saying, "You girls need a fresh start, this and that." Ashley, surprise, surprise, was apprehensive to giving Gabby a fresh start. She's like, "I don't do well with those." Uh,
She doesn't do well with fresh starts. What does that
yeah,
mean?
it's probably because Ashley's never been wrong in her life, and it's only her giving fresh starts to everyone. Is my best guess. That's probably from Ashley's perspective, but that also might be the case. So I obviously it doesn't go very far. I will say throughout this episode, I know we just talked about Ashley in a negative tone about how her having sex with Gary, but actually besides that, Ashley doesn't seem that annoying in this episode. She actually is just kind of like off radar, like not trying to feed into any further Gabby drama. Doesn't try to get in between anything. Doesn't like was overly affectionate with Gary at the villa. You know, I don't want to say it was a good episode for her at all, but not the worst episode for her, I guess.
I sort of agree. Yeah, 'cause she's not like overly confrontational with Gabby.
Right.
She just kind of ignores her. Just kind of
Yeah.
the best move for her with Gabby at this point.
Yeah. And even when Gabby's just like venting, Ashley doesn't really like take a side on anything, you know. Again,
Yeah.
this isn't a pro Ashley podcast. Never will be, never has. But you know, at least she didn't fuel any fires this episode.
No, I guess they do chicken fight. She does chicken fight with Gabby at the villa.
Yeah.
And she wins. Is that because, John, haven't been very many chicken fights. Who's more important, the base or the person on top?
I mean, you gotta put the person on top on a strong foundation, right?
So it's really Colin was Gary the other? Who was holding up Gabby?
I think it was Gary.
Oh, so really Colin, it's really more about Colin than Ashley, I think.
I think so. Yeah, it's more about, I think the person on bottom is more important for a chicken fight.
Yeah.
I haven't done my research. I'll have to do some though, you know, this summer. I'll check it out.
Yeah, look at the analytics on that.
Yeah.
But yeah. Maybe after winning that, she was like, all right, I'm good. I can keep my distance.
Yeah.
I'm now second stew because of that chicken fight. Yeah.
That's fair. Sean, speaking of so we go to the villa here. Gabby versus Marcos is something that we've seen a couple times this season. We saw it again. Dude, it's just like, it's one of those things. Even Daisy was like, it's complicated. I'm like, I don't think it's that complicated. It's just like Gabby and Marcos don't get along. They're both like hard-headed and they're both stubborn, which like I could be hard-headed and stubborn too. I'm not killing them here. But they've just butted heads, and each time they drink, it kind of like, not like the wounds open up, but like they start going back at it. So
I mean, I was gonna say they also kind of like take themselves very seriously, the two of them, right?
Yeah, and yet like, I don't know, even Gabby was just like, she's like, I just feel like she's like, she feels childish. I just didn't really like the Gabby versus Marcos type of thing. I thought it was like kind of like there was no entertainment value there. I was just waiting for the fight to be over. Does that make sense? I think Twitter's with me on that too.
I agree. Like, so it starts a little bit. I don't really know. Like, just Gabby's just talking to Marcos, and it's like there's like the vibes off. Like, we already know they don't like each other. She's kind of being like obnoxious.
I think it's one of those things. Like Marcos starts to. I think he like prods at Gabby a little bit, and then Gabby just kind of takes it from there.
Yeah,
you know, she was kind of like making fun of how he speaks with like a, you know, obviously with like an accent, you know, kind of chirping him that way.
It's a weird way to chirp someone up.
You know,
she knows he's from Venezuela. Like what?
Yeah.
His English is really good. I mean,
yeah.
And then,
you know, go ahead. I was just gonna say, like, I was just kind of like, I was over the fight while it was happening. And so I'm glad, like, Gabby just decided to like go to bed, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. I guess I should point out Marcos flips Daisy off of a float and she lands on Gabby. And Gabby did not like that. And kind of goes a little bit below the belt, going after Marcos. I don't know,
what did she say again?
Just how like immature he is. I mean, I guess that's not that bad. Everyone's a little bit immature in the show. But you know, like kind of like goes after him a little bit. And yeah, then no one really wants to talk. She doesn't want to talk to anyone. No one really has any time for her. And yeah, she goes to I was confused at first, like, how is there just like a bed here for her? But like it is a villa. So
it is a villa. There's some day beds. Sean, you know, one of the most important things about this was, you know, Daisy said at the beginning, nobody ruined this good time. And everyone tried to ruin this good time.
Mostly Gabby.
Mostly Gabby, yeah.
If we're being honest. Yeah.
And Sean, I remember a couple episodes ago, you were basically like, Gary's the life of the party. There was a part where he was sleeping and everyone was just hanging by the pool and they decided to wake him up because he is the party.